Hi there, I'm Panache. I usually don't speak on my YouTube videos, but today I will do an exception. You will soon hear a musical piece that I wrote for a very long time ago. And I think it can be good to have a short little backstory about me and the piece before listening. If you would like to skip ahead and don't listen to this ramble, then you can go to the chapter that says music starts or something. I grew up in the northern part of Sweden, and I moved down to Gothenburg on the west coast when I was around 20 years old. The reason for me moving down here was to do my bachelor and master studies in composition at Göteborg University. During the first 2 years of my studies, I basically was all over the place, trying to do a lot of small pieces and trying to learn electronics and writing tape music and tape and solo music and live electronics and create my own software that either made algorithmic composition easier or transformed sound into something else. So I would say I did spend more time on programming than I did on actually writing score. And this piece that you're going to hear is not an exception. I would say I spent 90% of time to actually generating the material, and then maybe 10% of the time to actually do the score. And that clearly is visible, you will see that. But also I did, during the first 2 years, came in contact with the concept of art music or music as art. Up until that moment I've been just having fun and doing sounds and doing forms in my composition without actually thinking of, is this something that can be treated as an artistic expression? During my studies in the university we had a lot of discussions every week on seminars regarding aesthetics, art history and all of these subjects. And of course I met other people that have, from left to right, different opinions on what is good and what is bad. When it comes to the scoring, I had a really short time on finish the score. I would say less than 2 weeks. I've been working maybe half year on the rest. And of course that led to me doing a lot of mistakes, sloppy mistakes. From start I wasn't really good at scoring for a string orchestra. But it also didn't help that I, in my communication through the score, made things worse. I will get back to that. So I was at the last week. I have a deadline on Friday because I have to post it on Friday so they can get it by Monday morning because they are in another city. And I was working and it didn't go well. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I got stressed. So on Thursday I decided that no matter what I need to do this. Even if I have to work the whole night. And I did. I worked from Thursday to Friday. Then I went down to McDonald's and had breakfast. But then I wasn't finished and I have to send it by the end of the day and I couldn't do it. So I actually continued working. I said, but what if I don't send it? What if I go there? It's like a 4-hour drive. What if I drive there? I didn't have a driving license, but my wife had, so we planned she can drive me there. Then at least I have the whole weekend. But it turns out that I had to work from Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Sunday to Monday. And I did this practically with no sleep at all. And that was amazing when the wall's coming down at you and you see hallucinations and stuff. No, it wasn't amazing, it was horrible. Monday came and we took the car and we drove for 4 hours and we got there and I handed it over and I drove back. And I think that I haven't gotten that many miles back towards Gothenburg when I got a call from my teacher that in its turn got a call from the conductor and said like, we can't play this. And I asked him why. Well, first the estimated duration was 37 minutes. That is a little bit more than the maximum 12 minutes. Then there was a lot of mistakes in the score. Notes, tones that wasn't really even playable in the instruments. Clearly it wasn't really a good work that I did. I begged and I begged and I begged if I could get yet another week to repair this. And they said yes. Of course, I have to shorten the piece, and I looked over all of the bad things that I've been writing, technical stuff that didn't work, and I've tried to fix most of them. But I ended up in the same situation. I worked more or less the whole week with very few hours of sleep. And I didn't make it to the Fridays. I couldn't post it, so I have to take the train then on a Monday. 4 hours down and 4 hours back for the second delivery. So that was a story about me writing this piece. So let's fast forward a few weeks or even months ahead. And now it's time for rehearsal. So we gathered 6 students, 2 from Gothenburg, 2 from Malmö, 2 from Stockholm. And the rehearsal started. And of course I had a lot of trouble. First off, on the score in the top left corner it says sempre senza vibrato. Basically no expression, please don't screw this up. Plain notes from all violins. That kind of killed the idea of a string orchestra, right? String orchestra basically lives on the possibility to use their expression to give life to music. And I said, no life. No life in my music. Then in addition, of course, I still had a lot of technical stuff in the score that didn't really was working well. But they were pretty nice. They helped me and got corrected a few of the things there while we rehearsed. So I was pretty stubborn back then. I kind of screwed the process by not respecting their deadlines, not respecting the duration. The final version of the piece that you're gonna hear is 17 minutes. So still above that 12 minutes maximum duration. There was also another thing that was quite stubborn. I had a small part for the viola solo player to play solo, and I basically wrote the lowest C, which is an open string on the viola, and above that I wrote molto vibrato, just to make a statement, right? The whole piece should be without any vibrato, but this specific solo note of an open string, that one should have molto vibrato. So yeah, I was quite stubborn. I didn't do it to annoy or make an argument or a statement. It was just the fact that I would like to have him think a little bit outside the box, I think. And he actually did, because at the end he played an open string and then he's shaking his viola. Visible, and it sounded actually like some kind of vibrato. So in that sense I might succeeded a little bit. But in the whole process I treated the orchestra as something that was against me. Not particularly that I hated them or was against them, but I treated them as some kind of ancient institution of musicians that I didn't want to be part of, even though I wrote this piece. Quite stupid. At one point, I think this was one of the last rehearsals, the musicians were slightly upset and tired. And it got that far that one of the musicians actually stood up during the rehearsal. We still have like 10-15 minutes left. And he said, "Mr. Bergström, I don't like your piece, I will not play it." And he left the room. And the thing is that this is a professional orchestra. Professional orchestras get paid to do it, whether they like it or not. So for me to make him that upset, so he actually decided to leave his work, was not a good experience. Eventually he came back to the rehearsal the last few minutes in protest. I don't think he even played. The next day we had the world premiere performance of all of the 6 pieces in that small city in Sweden. Of course my piece was a disaster of all aspects. Nothing was held together, no energy. All the parts that should be beautiful wasn't beautiful, and all the parts that should be powerful wasn't powerful. So I was quite sad afterwards. Then the next day we actually toured with the orchestra with their bus up to Stockholm for the second and last concert. And there something happened. It's like everything fell in place. It sounded beautiful where it should be beautiful. It sounded noisy and powerful where it should be noisy and powerful. And that is what you're gonna hear, that recording from Stockholm. The recording from the other place are not gonna play. And I was super happy, and I can tell that people even in the audience and also musicians were more happy with my piece than before. I don't think everyone liked it, to be honest, but I liked it, and some people in the audience liked it, and that I think is important. But the most important thing is that after the concert, this person that left the rehearsal and said that he didn't like my music and he refused to play it, he came toward me, and I thought like, no, I don't want to meet him, because I'm happy in my place of having this piece performed in a good way. I can't deal with another confrontation. But then he came up to me and he said, "Mr. Bergström, I'm not against your piece anymore. I can like it." And that showed me that even though I have been quite stubborn and problematic throughout this whole process, and also have been writing a not optimal string orchestra musical piece, at least I opened up someone's mindset regarding what is music and what is not music, and can music be other things than he or she is used to. And that made me very happy. So enjoy listening to 17 minutes of my string orchestra piece, Mot.